Hello and welcome. You're tuned to The Leg Up, your domestic thoroughbred weekly preview podcast, and it's Oaks Day at Trentham, and what a set of fields we have to dissect, to go through. We're looking at some of those major races pretty shortly, but the full team is here with me. Man barely standing, Paul Mawadi. Good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, very good, thank you.
Looking forward to Saturday?
I am indeed,
Make a dollar last week, Auckland Cup Day?
Not as much as the town of Rotorua made, but,
No.
but yeah, I managed to pick up $1.
They would have made plenty, the Bill Pomare fans. Stephen, good morning to you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, Thaddeus.
Yeah.
Good, thanks.
Looking forward to Trentham, obviously. The fields look fantastic, don't they?
Yeah, cracking fields. I think overall, the best fields that Trentham have produced this summer, and that's including Cup Week.
Yeah, okay. That's going to be exciting to thing. But let's look back at the carnival, Auckland last Saturday. Ocean Billy got the job done, among other things. That was an impressive win from the horse, really.
Yeah, not too many excuses from the beaten brigade. Ocean Billy had to do it tough, made a early move. It ran about the 600-700 metre mark. He just outstayed them. And he's done that a couple of times this season at Te Rapa in the Waikato Cup, and also last Saturday in the Auckland Cup. So, look, excited around the stable and the connections, Bill and the team. Possibly this horse heading across the Tasman come the spring.
Yeah, okay.
But look, he definitely has been in that top 2-3 in terms of stayers this year.
Yeah,
Really.
probably underrated up until now. There was probably a question mark on the 2 miles, was there, by some people in some quarters?
Oh, look, he can chuck in different runs at times. Saying that his lead-up run in the Avondale Cup was very, very tough, and Sweens was all over it, getting Jonathan Parks, ringing the connections to get him aboard, and
clever.
the rest is history. But look, he's also. Look, I think it's the overall profile, the stable. It's not going to be a horse that's really punters are going to gravitate strongly towards. I think he was well found at that 10-11 to 1 mark, Ocean Billy, and he was pretty dominant, as I mentioned.
Yeah, Old Charles Road. I remember you, Paul, telling me Old Charles Road was in your combinations. I poo-pooed you at the time.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be the first time. Probably won't be the last either. But no, lovely little. I think paid around $6 or $7 the place on the Billy Goat.
Makes the Cornella up and all go. And what about Melody Bell, Steve? What do we say? 14 Group 1s now.
Well, running out for words around her. Look, I think it's her longevity that stands out to me. When I look back and she has her last run, which could be in possibly 1 or 2 months' time over in Australia. It's longevity for me around Melody Bell. You rewind the clock all the way back to 2016 when she took out the Karaka Million as a juvenile, obviously, and 34 to 1 SP. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good now.
Yeah.
She won the TJ Smith later that year over in Brisbane. In between times, she won a Group 1 Sires. Didn't have too many starts, if any, as a 3-year-old, but as a 4-year-old, she won 5 Group 1s. As a 4-year-old, 5 Group 1s. As a 5-year-old, she won 4 Group 1s. And now as a 6-year-old, she's won 4 Group 1s. So it's that longevity, that ability to be consistent at the highest level, not just here but across the Tasman, and that's reflected on 14 Group 1s. So look, Hastings is always going to be a special place when we get to that carnival, winning the Triple Crown. We've had 20-odd years where horses have been trying to win that Triple Crown. Starcraft, Sea Change, some bloody good gallopers.
Can't be underrated,
haven't been able to achieve that, and she's done that. I think we look back in 10 or 20 years' time, she still may be the one horse that's only achieved.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well said. Let's bring in Brennan Popplewell. Morning, BP, to you. What do we say about Melody Bell? We're running out of superlatives, aren't we?
Look, we are, guys. A very good morning to you. And I think the other thing that will stick with me with Melody Bell is we all have horses when growing up, that you really get attached to. And I'm sure that the current generation that are either just dipping their toes into the sport or are feeling as though that this is a sport for them they really want to enjoy. Let's say my 2 boys, for instance, they're sort of 7 and 9. They love horse racing. Melody Bell is going to be one of those horses that will stick with them because she has come out and she continually wins, and she's an absolute champion. And look, I remember horses like Rough Habit going and watching him at the races, for instance. Viander Cross. They are horses that made me want to go to the races and wanted to be involved in the sport. And I'm sure that'll be the case for a lot of people that follow the game, that she is going to be remembered for a long time for her feats. I mean, at Hawke's Bay, unbeaten. Could never be beaten at Hawke's Bay. Her efforts in the Triple Crown, as you mentioned, and the surrounding races, when she could have even won the Triple Crown the year before she did win it, when she won the first 2 legs. So much to talk about around her, and let's hope that she has a great swan song in Australia. The other thing I'd like to mention too, it was great to see the little guy get a big prize, and that being, of course, Bill Pomare, the small-time trainer can still peel off some big victories, and that's not taking anything away from what the big stables are able to do, because they deserve all the respect they get in terms of winning these races, because they've got the artillery, the guys like Baker Forsman and obviously Jamie Richards. But when a small guy from Rotorua, Bill Pomade, sets a horse for an Auckland Cup and they pull it off, and all their friends and family are on track and they're probably still celebrating, I reckon that's something to really enjoy, and that was one of the wins of the carnival for mine, Ocean Billy, winning that Auckland Cup.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see, wasn't it, BP? No doubt about that. One for the battlers. I hope Bill doesn't mind me saying that. I mean that in the best possible way. It was fantastic to see. What about a Maiden of the Week, Pops? We need another one from you there. Have you spied anything during the week we need to just follow with a bit of interest?
Gee, I certainly have. It wasn't missed by the punters. It was a cracking bet at Riccarton last Thursday, and it went round at the shorts of $1.50, and you could have got a bigger spoil if you were keen to get involved on the early shopping. And it's Milford Sound. This is a horse that has got a lot of upside. Went into this race with a placing in the Southland Guineas, and it just meant it was ready to win. I love how this horse extends late in this race. We are likely to see him in a race like the Manawatu Classic coming up on the 3rd of April. That will be an intriguing race if horses like Montre Moir and those type of horses do head in that direction. But just watch the concluding stages here of this 1,600 metre event. I just love how he powers away from them. Look at the big strides right on the line, and Lisa Allpress has still got handfuls. He is a horse to look out for, and he will be a presence in that race, the Manawatu Classic, with how he's won that race. So he's a runner that you want to note down and be following. And from that same meeting, Rockland, that horse would be winning again, you'd imagine, with how that horse won last week out of Riccarton. But very keen on what Milford Sound might be able to do next time to the races off the back of that maiden win.
That was impressive. Do we know the breeding of Milford Sound, just out of interest, or the dam?
Ocean Park.
Is it Ocean Park?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, Ocean Park. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's flying. Well, Ocean Billy, obviously. Okay, that was impressive. We'll follow him with a bit of interest. Steve, you were going to do some homework last week for me around Te Akau, and they had another cracking day on Auckland Cup Day as well. I mean, their dominance in the carnival, I don't know what the numbers look like.
Incredible.
But
yeah, I did
won
crunch
a lot of
some few
races.
numbers. We'll bring up a profile and some stats on screen. Te Akau / Jamie Richards. Now, they had 51 runners for 18 winners across the 5 premier days at Ellerslie on Boxing Day and New Year's Day, Karaka Million, Derby Day, and last Saturday on Cup Day. Market expectation throughout the 5 days had Te Akau winning at 26%. So that's basically grabbing all the SPs, flushing them back to 100%, and then working out the average, and that equaled 26%. The actual winning strike rate for Te Akau over the 5 meetings equaled 35%, almost exceeding it by 10%, which is huge. Profit on turnover at 13% across all the 51 runners. So, for example, if you put 2 units in, or dollars, if you want to work with dollars, $2, a win bet on all 51 runners would cost you $102, returning $115.20. Again, impressive numbers when you're talking around 51 runners.
Yeah, a lot of numbers. Yeah.
Here's an interesting one. Te Akau had 20 runners at $3 or less, 13 winners at a strike rate at 65%, profit on turnover at 38%. So basically that's saying even though the stable's well identified, there is still a clear edge if you're punting into that pointy end of the marketplace around the Te Akau runners at $3. That seems to be the sweet spot, $3 or less. When it gets to a Te Akau runner at Ellerslie on a premier day. Not at Matamata during the week. This is purely raw figures at Ellerslie on a premier day. 13 wins at stakes level right throughout the 5 days. A Madalenia, $1.30, that was the shortest SP in the Sunline Vase. Imperatriz, the highest SP, $12 in the Eclipse.
Okay.
Most of these, if not all, would be getting backed in. So if you're getting on early doors, you're probably getting a wee bit more of an edge.
Spot's $3 or less, and we're going off SPs, starting prices.
Purely SPs off the tote.
So
you did right.
If you do get on early doors on well over that period, you'd be well up at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do we need to do? Sharpen our pencil.
So what are we looking at? We've got Ellerslie, a couple of premier meetings. That is the summer. We've got Easter coming up at Ellerslie, a couple of other premier meetings between now and the close of season. So let's just keep an eye on how it develops. But there's clear edge if you really want to target the pointy end of the market when it comes to Te Akau, even though they're well identified in terms of the marketplace.
$3 or less. $3 or less, and you're making a 38% profit. Can't do
POT.
too much better than that. Yeah, good stuff. Nicely done. Rightio. Let's look ahead to Trentham, guys, because we've got some cracking fields, as we have said, and we want to start in race number 5, Steve. That's the Cuddle Stakes for the mares. Any fillies in there? No, just the mares, and headed by Coventina Bay.
Oh, and they've come in early here around Coventina Bay. The favourite opened at $2.20 yesterday afternoon, now trading at $2. Clearly the best back runner on all races we have presently open at Trentham. Now $2. Cinerama, $4.20, just gone out a couple of clips from a 3.9 price. Our Hail Mary, the stablemate of Cinerama, 6 out to 6.5. Tabata, $8.50 out to 9. And then there's a second wave, Jessie G, 18, Cruz Ramirez, 21 with Vent, and Mohaka best of the rest at 26. But it's almost one-way traffic around number 1, Coventina Bay. She may start one of the better back runners at Trentham on Saturday.
Boy, she was dominant last time when she got a little bit of luck, BP Coventina Bay. She's always a horse that potentially needs it, and from a 3-barrier draw, be interesting to see where she gets to in the run. But, gee, if she gets some clear air, she is impressive, isn't she?
Oh, isn't she? I mean, she's just got such a devastating turn of foot. That race, it was a race where it just needed that right piece of luck. Boy, when it all opened up, good night. This horse is just so good when she's safe for that right run and can get, and like she did there in that race at Matamata, save some ground. You could see a little way out that once that things were starting to open up for Coventina Bay, you just knew that she was going to power on by. So this is 1,600 metres on a big roomy track. You can see why the support has already been there for this horse off the opening line, and now you would say pushing into the red because the amount of money that's coming for the horse. She's the one I think that really does pick herself off the back of that victory, and not just solely off what she did last start, but just on numbers. I mean, Coventina's Bay's big number 1 fan, Man Billy Standing, will tell us all the figures around what she can produce in terms of quick sectional, so I don't need to be telling you anything about that. But look, she's just a horse that looks well placed in this race. I think dangers can be coming from obviously the Alan Sharrock trained runner in Cinerama. There's a horse that comes back from the 2,000 metres when beaten in the Herbie Dyke, but we know that she's a horse at this venue that can be Group 1 placed behind our best in Melody Bell, of course, when she blew the start and still ran into second position. So that has to be regarded as a strong chance for her to be the biggest danger, if anything wasn't quite to pan out for Coventina Bay. And look, we have seen the horse go down as a shorter quite priced horse, because maybe in those short course races gets too far out of its ground, how the races run. You'd imagine with 1,600 metres here at Trentham that she's going to get her opportunity to rein them in. I do like Tabata as a hope. I think Tabata is a very good place chance in the race with how she won that race at Tuhuranika, because she showed good turn of foot again and won, I thought, from an impossible position. I didn't even think she won the race. But she's heading in the right direction and she's a winner on the track. But really all roads lead to Coventina Bay at the shorts.
Man, Billy Standing, I mean, I'm starting to get nervous. I'm seeing no money for these Alan Sharrock runners. I'm feeling like there's some sort of Taranaki conspiracy building here already. No money for Cinerama, no money for our Hail Mary, and they're just lumping it on Coventina Bay. Do you think the Pattersons and the Sharrocks might have got together, or what are we thinking here?
Oh, look,
Wouldn't be the first time.
You can throw your conspiracy theories out the door.
No, she deserves it, didn't she, off that last start?
I think only bad luck beats her if she doesn't get out. But with the wide open straight there at Trentham, it would take some significant bad luck for her not to get out and be able to display that explosive power that we know she has.
She was massive at Matamata, wasn't she?
Huge.
Yeah, she got that split. I think it was Sam Collett, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, but...
And then it was like the rest of the field was standing still.
Tied to the fence.
She was very, very impressive.
Yeah.
I thought Our Hail Mary looked a wee bit of a chance.
Not going to quite see the money for her that we did last time she was presented, I don't think. But
no, Hazel's back on, knows the horse very, very well. Another one by Ocean Park. I don't know, Ocean Park is... going all right at the moment.
He's everywhere, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, good on him. Yeah, no, it'd be a chance, absolutely. What do we make of Cinerama, Steve? She's a horse that's promised a lot.
You ask me this every time she races.
I know, well, yeah, she's got me that many times.
You're not alone, I don't think.
No, exactly, and she's back from 2,000 to the mile. She does a few things wrong still. How do we play her?
Well, I think just on the eye, she's got a rating of 99. That's the highest in the race, one rating point higher than Coventina Bay. So with the conditions, it's very well in her seat, Cinerama. again, she can just do your chips in the first 100, 200 metres, Cinerama. It's a smallish field, so even if she misses it slightly, she's not going to be back 12 lengths off the leaders. But the concern is around the start. Dropping back to 16, I'd like to see it 2,000 metres next start at Aupuni. I think that she's going for the Aupuni Gold Cup. Potentially, that might suit her better at 2,000, 1,600. Look, I don't want to take a huge set against her just on the depth of the field. Yep. And at $4.20, I think she's found her mark around about the 4.2, 450 mark.
Yep.
With this continuation of Coventina Bay. But just some numbers of Coventina Bay. And Lisa Chittick plate last 600, 33.72. 6.8 lengths faster than any other runner in that race. She broke 11 seconds between the 4 and the 2. Her last 6.42 was the fastest of the meeting at Matamata, and that's including Sort of State, the slipper winner, which we know ran very close or very quick sectionals in his last 6.42 split. So, look, outside Levante, I think she's probably got the best turn of foot for a mare in the country over 1,600 metres.
Yeah, okay, that is impressive. And all these weight for age fillies and mares races, and we say it every time, but like there's some talented mares down the bottom of this page, but it tends to be won by the horses at the top of the handicap or the higher rated mares.
Yeah, for sure. Particularly these mares races, which you've touched on. Look, Tabata just has to improve a few margins or a few lengths. That Waipa Breeders just didn't rate highly on my figures. Cruz Ramirez, House of Cartier, Alaloon, all finished in behind. Tabata on that occasion have been pretty poor in their next start to date. But Jessie G and Ruby Rocks have been subsequent winners coming out of the Waipa Breeders. So there's a bit of indifferent form lines in behind Tabata. But look, naturally in a handicap race, it should be giving 8 kilograms to Coventina Bay. Here they meet, 1 kg difference.
Yeah.
She Vermeer,
Who's that?
Tabata,
Yeah. Is she what?
Vermeer Racing. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brendan going to be on course?
New SEN,
That might be a sign.
Act. Yeah, okay, yeah, keep your eyes peeled
Yeah.
for BMAC. If he's there.
He was there when she won.
Yes, at Wairarapa. It's had an
And at Trentham, I think.
Okay, so if we see BMAC on camera, because the trackside cameras won't miss him, we unload each
Look, she's
way.
improving. She hasn't found her ceiling yet, Tabata, but
Yep.
you just got to back her with potential rather than what you've seen on hard figures, because she just hasn't produced that even in her last stakes win at the Wairarapa Breeders. So not to say she can't get there, but it's more of a trust and looking to the future that you're backing her on Saturday rather than now.
Okay, well, it does. And is there anything down the page pops here, or are we sticking with the tried and true and the mares that rate up the top? Is there a blowout in the race, or we're sort of hovering around the top of the page?
Yeah, I'm sticking towards the top, guys. I find it hard to get away from the sort of the first 4 on the block. I do like Mohaka as a type. I've always sort of been a pretty big fan of hers. She's presented around that sort of $26 quote, and look, Jessie G in her own right has also got a small chance for those that want to play into the back end of the first 4s. How do I go about playing the race? I take a fixed exacta. I take Coventina Bay as your anchor and play Tabata, that'll give you $12, or play Cinerama, and that will give you $6.50 on a fixed exacta. Lock it in.
Oh, I like it, yeah.
I just want to go back to BP. What I've noticed over the summer at Trentham is that there seems to be an IG 1 or 2 metres away from the rail, the inferior ground, particularly over Cup week, and we saw it last Saturday at Trentham. Look, the rail's back in the true position, but there seems to be a part down that middle part of the lane in the straight where it's playing advantageous and to make your winning run. So, look, the last time the rail was true was back on the 23rd of Jan, the middle week of the Cup Carnival. It'll just be intriguing to see how that rail plays, or maybe 1 or 2 horsewhips from the rail outward. So, a little bit concerning if you're looking for that rail run, potentially from what I've seen over the summer at Trentham thus far.
So I'm glad he said IG was inferior ground, Pops, otherwise I might have been in trouble.
You would have been all over it, mate.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, look, it is a good point to bring up because, as we saw last week, the track condition was still rated in that dead bracket, yet they were finishing down the centre part of the track. So, I'd be watching fairly closely. It's a good point, that, Stephen, just around those earlier races. And, of course, we don't get into the stakes races till race number 4. So we're able to get a bit of a guide through those first few races, just how that track pattern is playing out of Trentham.
Yeah, okay. Go top 4 for us, Pops. You've obviously got Coventina Bay on top. Tabata second.
Yep. I'll go Tabata just in front of Cinerama and also our Hail Mary. So 1, 4, 3 and 2.
Yeah, hard to get away from.
Well, what price Coventina Bay you see the SP at, BP?
I wouldn't be surprised if she gets in that 180 zone. I think she's a horse that will have a lot more supporters around the $2 mark, and it could even heat up on the day. So, yeah.
You take $2, man, barely standing?
I'll take the 220.
Yeah, yep. Okay.
That's long gone.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't muck about, did they?
No,
Yeah.
it was.
Especially if there's no runners for no money for the Shark runners. And normally, money suggesting early doors we
This
get
is what I'm worried
a
about.
decent guide, but that's not the case.
Yeah, okay. Coventina Bay all the way in this year's cuddle. Race number 5, race number 6, gents. Is the Wellington Guineas, and this is an intriguing clash, Steve.
It is. We've got a couple of stable mates here. Brando back from Australia when contesting the Guineas at Flemington. 260 out of turn to 270. A fraction more money on Need I Say More for the first 12 hours of trading to get his price in, 310 to 2.8. Bonham, Live-In Classic winner at $5 off a shorten of 4.8. Cornflower Blue looks to be the third seed in terms of the Jamie Richards barn, $8.50 off a shorten of $8. Hold the Press, 16 out to 17. El Tirador, well found in the middle market, 23 was the peak, now trading at 18. All Black Bourbon, 18 out to 23. And Bold Iris, best of the rest, at $31. So early money around Need I Say More, fractioning the better backed in front of Brando. A little bit of spec and 1x3 play on number 3, El Tirador.
Yeah, okay. Interesting, Pops. I know there was a bit of conjecture, if perhaps that's the right term, around how to sort of open this market and how to frame it up. We've gone with Brando. What are you seeing here?
Look, I really like Need I Say More. I've been with this horse right through the campaign, and I've been impressed. The more I've seen this horse through this new preparation, we're talking about Karaka Million Night, when winning, coming off speed with a big weight and chasing down Babylon Berlin and doing a very good job to wear down Babylon Berlin again last time to the races. I just feel as though he is furnishing into the right sort of galloper that is going to be high-class sort of sprinting type for next season. He just really does give me those feelings that he is a horse that has a lot to offer in the Group 1 season, next season, Need I Say More. So I like his chances. He's drawn out, but what we've seen with him is he's got a couple of new bows to his string, hasn't he? He's just one of those horses that can find a position if he needs to, or if he needs to be able to find a spot further back and try and slide. I feel as though he's a runner that is adaptable in his most recent racing. Not just that horse that flies to the front and dictates terms like we saw maybe as a 2 in early part of his 3-year-old season. Brando is the horse that, of course, was the Live-In Classic favourite and was expected to turn up and pick up that race. He was unlucky. He was a horse that probably just didn't quite get the right favours down the straight when beaten by Bonham. He's gone to Australia. He's disappointed there. He never got close to the rail. So just purely on a class factor, I think we still have to respect him. But I'm leaning towards Need I Say More. I think he's a horse that I respect the price move, and I really like his chances here on the weekend. I think I got that wrong too. He's added a couple of strings to his bow.
Yeah, the wrong way around. That's right. Well, it's a podcast, you see, so you can do these things, and it doesn't matter. BP, so that's fine. Yeah, exactly. We'll make the odd mistake around here. Particularly you, Paul. What are you thinking? Which way are you going, mate? The boys have gone Brando here. I wasn't so sure myself, coming back from Aussie.
Does this have parallels with the Melody Bell Avantage matchup that we saw last week? Are we seeing the same sort of money on Need I Say More that we saw early doors on Melody Bell last week, or is it?
I think the difference is I was very confident Avantage would start favourite, and that happened. I think she closed $1.80 v Melody Bell $3, even though Melody Bell had that early traction. Here I'm not 100% convinced who's going to start fave.
No.
And with the early money, it's really making it tricky to assess that. Brando v Need I Say More. I think Brando's probably got more X factor, which BP basically alluded. And Opie Bosson would have had the choice between Brando and Need I Say More. He's gone with the Colt and Brando. And he's got some very short SPs, which will naturally hold that price or even shorten around Brando. He's been in the red for his last 2 to 3 starts, and he was well punted in the Australian Guineas. I think he went out second fave, around that 4.50 mark. So punters do love Brando, and he's drawn barrier 4. He'll get an economical run. You talk about Need I Say More, BP, and how he's He's very versatile in what we've seen his last 2 starts at HQ. From barrier 11, where do you see him? Do they look to push forward early stages and hopefully sit in the first 5 or 6, or will they go neutral and hopefully get some cover midfield?
Well, the other thing that we need to probably mention is what you just spoke about before, Stephen, and it is the track condition. How is the track playing? Because if it's a track condition that is going to favour those that are working home into the centre part of the track, well, he just needs to get to the crown of the track, does he not, when turning for home? So that might change their tactics about how they want to ride him. They might be more happy to try and find a 3-wide trailing position that might be slightly worse than midfield. It could be just a case of looking to slide and get the horse into a position where they can get into a 3 or 4 wide train when turning for home at about the 600 or 700 metre mark. And if that's how the track is playing, well then potentially that could be the golden spot for him, for need I say more. Because, like I said, there's just been no need to bustle him early in some of his earlier races. He hasn't been explosive out of the barriers on a couple of those occasions, and then he's been able to find his spot. But they could look to try and adapt that tactic as well. Try and get him in that first 5 or 6, jump well, and then try and slide and find that position so he's not too far off tempo. But I just feel as though they've got their options on track conditions and how it's playing, and also with him, who does have that barrier speed if he wants to be able to be pushed out of the gates by Jay Park. So yeah, I'm not too concerned about him drawing the outside gate, to be honest.
Yeah, okay. Barrier 11, yeah, he got options as he says. What about Bonham, Steve? Haven't seen it since the Levin Classic win, and how was the trial?
Very good trial, but you can only take so much out of a trial. She does operate fresh, and she draws well here. She drew a sticky gate in Levin Classic, had to do work to put herself in the race, and at the top of the straight, off a slow tempo, she kicked away and managed to hold off Brando on that occasion. So this time round, I think they'll just try and get a smother from barrier 3. She'll go forward. She'll be in the first 4 or 5, I suggest, Bonham. But look, you can't knock her. If you like Brando, you've got to like Bonham. It's as simple as that. They've got similar figures coming out of Levin Classic, even though Brando finished strongly in that last 4 200 splits. But the stable know how to operate in this particular race. They won this race last year. I think they won it a couple of times overall. And that freshen up, I've got no negatives around Bonham. So at a $5 chance, I think she's found her mark. She paid around that $6.50.
Yeah, it's a late move for that in that Levin Classic.
Off a peak of around about a double figure price. So you're not getting that double figure price this time in. Look, she's well found in that third line, Bonham. The other also I want to mention is All Black Bourbon. I think he's the knockout blow. I really do. I think he is the knockout blow. I love what he did in his trial, resuming here. He was lightly raced galloper prior to Christmas and won on debut, albeit on a rain-affected track. But I loved his trial at Rotorua, just under a strong hold and behind Pasega. I think he finished second last on that occasion, 6 of 7 in the trial. And I kept a very close eye on him when resuming at Matamata all over 1,200 metres. He got back from barrier 9, but his last 8.642 were the fastest in the race. So stepping up to 14, I'm really keen on him. He's out of his grade in terms of his rating and what his figures have produced overall against stakes winners. But I wouldn't be surprised if he ran above betting expectation here, where you see him there at a $23 price. So he's hovering around that 4% chance. I rated him around about a 7-8% chance. So look, I wouldn't be surprised if he bet majority of this field home, and he's catching the line late. So I think 16 might be his sweet spot. Where he goes after this, I'm not sure, but he's a knockout blow, All Black Bourbon. I've liked what I've seen thus far this time in.
Okay, could be a big day for Stephen Marsh. Paul?
I hope he starts the day off nicely, yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah,
We'll come to that. Just
he's taken
all the fun.
Let's get straight to it. No, I'm joking. No. Yeah. What do you say? Which way are you going, Paul? Need I say more Brando or somewhere else here?
Oh, the fact that Opie's decided to go with the Colt as opposed to the gelding. So I'll go Brando on top.
Yep.
Need I say more? I'm sure that BP might have an exacta ready for us.
He probably will. What about Cornflower Blue Pops? Needs a wet track, are we saying, or still a chance? Nice resuming run, wasn't it?
It was a good run. It was a really good run, wasn't it? In the Move Faster Stakes behind Need I Say More. She's a horse that I want to keep watching through this autumn preparation, because she gets that forgiveness in the ground in the right sort of race. She was first up on that occasion when she was beaten. She's Group 1 place. She's a place getter in the 1,000 guineas. So not without a chance on the weekend. And you'd imagine the track's going to have that little bit of give now as we start to work into the early part of the autumn. So I think she has to be a chance for those that are playing into the multiples. If you like your fixed Quinellas, certainly the 1-2 combination is at $3.90 at the moment if you wanted to lock away a Need I Say More Brando Quinella with the new fixed odds exotic. I'm going one Need I Say More. He's won 4 stakes races this season and he's been, as I said, adding a lot of those strings to his bow. Let's make sure he can add another stakes winner to this impressive resume at the moment, Need I Say More, by winning a Group 2 Wellington Guineas. I've got Need I Say More on top.
Yeah, okay. $3.90 the Quinella. We've got to have a look at this algorithm, don't we? Who's doctoring this up? That sounds like overs
Sits
to me.
next to me. I'll just have a
Yeah, but just make sure
I
you...
touched up last week with Tiaka Quinellas.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, here's another one.
We better have a word. Yeah, exactly. They've given him another one.
Unbelievable.
Righto team. Race number 7 on the card is the Fusion. Oh, no, it's not. It's the Hardy Trade Supply Company Lightning Handicap. And what am I seeing here? The Southerners are plenty here, Stephen.
Expect a Southerner sprinter. Simple as that. We've learnt from mistakes in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
Live Drama, $3.50. Just gone out a couple of clips to 3.7. A Pasega at 3.8 in that second line. Molto Velace resumes here on the back of it. A couple of nice trials at $7. Enzo's Lad, the class galloper, at 9. Romantic Lady, 9.5, a Rockin' Horse. Johnny Jones at $10, another Southerner. Grand Mason at 16s, Capanos 18, Rockin' Affair 19. So a little bit of a compressed market when you've got the rank outsider at $19. No clear lead, but there is money for the top 2.
Gee, this is an interesting betting race, BP, but it's all dominated by the Southerners here. Live Drama and Persiger. Could be room for an upset, or how do we attack this race?
This is a interesting wee race, isn't it, this one, with... obviously Enzo's Lad, who's in there first and foremost, who loves operating here at Trentham at the elite level. So he has to be still respected in this race, doesn't he, with how this race does shape up. So I think he is, possibly at a little bit of a price at $9. Then you've got Live Drama, who comes in with that up and running form. I even think Johnny Jones is a little bit of a hope. This is the Parsons trained runner with Opie Bosson aboard. Go back 4 starts ago, winning down the 1,200 metre shoot at Riccarton, and that's always good form to be able to try and line up for a race here at Trentham over the 1,200 metres. Did go 107 4 starts ago down the shoot at Riccarton. And then Persiger, who does have Riccarton form. This is a Tony Pike trained runner that was 3rd in the Stewards and most recently won at Hawke's Bay, but has great form around Riccarton when running 108 down there. So that's the way I'm leaning slightly, very slightly towards the 6 and Persiger, the daughter of Fastnet Rock, who's won impressively first up and, as I said, has that Riccarton form line. But horses 1, 2 and 3 that have either raced well at Riccarton, bring strong southern form lines. Live Drama just keeps on winning. I think the 1, 2 and 3 are the horses that scare me the most in the Lightning.
Yeah, I don't blame you. You've never minded a Southerner at Trentham, Paul.
Here we go, the Southern Raiders are back.
Where are you going?
Well, I just had a look at the fixed Quinella for Live Drama and Enzo's Lad.
Everyone's into it.
We're getting $16 about those two running the Quinella. I actually don't. I really do like the look of the Southerners in this race.
Yeah.
You obviously have to respect Enzo's Lad. Has done it at Trentham before, and Live Drama is in the form.
Oh, it's live.
Yeah.
Flying.
I'm a little bit concerned about Enzo's
Yeah, I
Lad.
wanted to talk to you about Enzo's. Go, Steve.
He's just been a little bit tardy this preparation. We saw when he won at Trentham and a couple of telegraphs, his gate speed to get himself in the top 2 or 3. Yes, he had the draws to get him into those positions, but just this time in, he's just been a bit tardy, and he's found himself in awkward positions. Now, he's drawn barrier 1. Now, if he's tardy, he's going to be back 3, 4 back on the rail. Now, we're speaking about these track conditions. Is that the place it's going to be? So if not, if the track is IG, in the inner part of the surface or in the inner part of the rail, then what he has to do, Jonathan Parks, is almost have to go back to last, come to the outer, and come down the outside Enzo's Lad from barrier 1. I think it's a negative, the ace draw, and I'm willing to take a set against the champ.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Wouldn't be the first time we've done that.
I'm sure the Pitmans are very happy hearing that.
Exactly. Some interesting runners in this race, Steve, to sort of frame up and have a look at. I want to mention a few of them here. Molto Veloce first, Rockin' Horse, and Romantic Lady. They're all tricky sort of horses to price. Could you run us through what you were thinking around those three?
Rockin' Horse, just out of its grade,
Mm.
but it was a tough run at HQ. It was 3-4 wide facing the breeze and was gallant in second. So, look, they're chucking it in a feature race here. And, Moroni Gerard, they're on fire at the moment the last 2 to 3 weeks. So, not going to knock them trying to have a chance at stakes company with Rockin' Horse. Romantic Lady is also accepted for Tauranga, but no jockey declared at Tauranga. So, you'd think they'll be taking their place here with Sam Collett doing the riding. I think back to 1200 really does suit Romantic Lady. And Molto Veloce, interesting run. Have been trialling up very, very well this time in. Look, last preparation, it took 3 or 4 runs to find its peak performance. I think fourth in last preparation, it managed to win. So it's first up here, which is a slight concern, but you go back, had 1 trial leading into its last preparation. They've given it 3 trials this time in, winning a couple of its later trials. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's too far off the mark here. Danielle Johnson, Stephen Marsh, just keep an eye on its price. Molto Veloce at $7. But interesting enough, they've gone with 3 trials leading in v the 1 last preparation.
Okay, that is worth a watch. BP, sort of summarise your thoughts here in the Lightning, mate.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Persegure, run at number 6 as my top selection. Just going off how the horse has been able to run out of Riccarton, good first up win, and then the respect around the Southerners. Sort of Enzo's lad who won this race last year, and that was his last victory. I certainly understand what Stephen is talking about there with where the horse is drawn, and as we've spoken about already throughout the podcast, being down on the innermost. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out throughout the day, if that is going to be a spot to be. But I still want to have him in my numbers, so I'll go 6, 1, 3 and 2 in this year's Lightning.
Just on Persevere.
Yeah, please, yeah.
First up, very, very soft late in betting, 260 out to 340 from memory. So you'd think natural improvement from what we've seen in the marketplace first up with the favourite.
Okay,
And wouldn't have to improve too much on the back of that performance/ratings at Hawke's Bay.
Yeah, okay. It was impressive that day, wasn't it? Paul, which way are you heading? Are you going to be give me the Enzo's lad? Are you?
Yep, I'm going 1, 3, 6, 2.
1, 3 live
6,
drama,
2.
6 Persica.
Nice going head to head.
2. He did, as soon as you put the dangle the carrot there, he's straight on. He loved it. Yeah, he loved the $9. He's going to cheer with the Southerners if Enzo's lad can get home in the Lightning. Righto team. Main event time, main course. Race number 8 on the card. I'm going to say it's the Albasti Equiworld Dubai New Zealand Oaks Group 1 over the 2400, Steve.
Headed by the Glamour Mare Madalenia, $1.55, just out of turn to $1.60, but almost at the right price because it is attracting some money early stages of Madalenia. Needle and Thread, $6.50 out to 7. Cheaper than Divorce, 10 out to 11. So the top 3 just all gone out one clip. Ella Fair backing up from the Derby at 18. Charm Star, 23 into 19, so there's one move. Slave to Love, other way, 18 out to 21. Z-Falls, 23 with Lana Cord. Can You Handle the Jandal at 26? Best of the rest is Dragon Queen at 31 with Spine Tingle back left-handed. So no clear lead, but what I can say, it's almost at the right price where it's acceptable for punters around a Madalenia.
Yeah, okay, Pops. I mean, we've got a shorty in the Oaks, $1.60 a Madalenia. She got the job done last time up there at Ellerslie in the Sunline. Are you with her, or are you just willing to have a little look outside her in the Oaks?
Look, I think she is an absolute superstar, and I can't wait to see her next season as a 4-year-old mare, and she's proven that she's going to be top draw. And look, deserving of her billing as a $1.60 favourite in this race with how she's dealt to the fillies this season, and obviously running second to Aegon in the 3-year-old Karaka Minion Classic. I do want to show you that run, though, in the Sunline Vase, where the race was taken out by her somehow. I mean, boy, when turning for home, she was able to idle into the race, but Needle and Thread just never gives up closer towards the rail. And even about here, it was like, well, inside's got her, but she finds a way to win, and that's a great virtue to have, be able to find a way to win a race, and as short as she was at $1.30. But this is a key factor I want to talk about, is what happens after the line. She's pretty quick to pull up once she goes up the hill. She covered all that extra ground from about the 700 metre mark, being 6 or 7 wide. Needle and Thread, on the other hand, just keeps on charging after the line, and is very hard to pull up. And as you can see there off those pictures, look, those track conditions were at its worst, and she just kept going, and that's her there well in front of the rest while pulling up. So that's an encouraging sign looking for a horse who's going to 2,400 metres with that second over 2,100 metres. So they've got an idea of how the race is going to be run for her, and in best favour for Needle and Thread, she's got a barrier draw, so she can go forward. She's a horse who can really dictate terms, turn this into a true staying test. And what you can see there is it looks like she's going to have a few bullets at the end of the race also, Needle and Thread. What's she going to be looking out for? The same horse once again, a Madalena. She's going to be the runner that'll be out of the pack trying to chase her down. I like that form reference, and hence why I'm around those two horses. But with what I've just seen there, I'm also keen to take some of the $6.50 or $7 that's around Needle and Thread, as opposed to having a shot at the $1.60. With Amaralina, she is the class factor. She is the horse that has got everything in her favour. We spoke about last week, the little bit of breeding beyond 2,400 metres, not there with the second dam in terms of horses like Medal Bender. But how you can counteract that is that she is the best horse in this race, and sometimes the best filly just comes out and wins the race, no matter what the distance, because she's just far superior. So there is those pros and cons that you need to weigh up. I'm just happy to take a $7 on a horse as opposed to $1.60 in the Oaks with Needle and Thread. So that's the angle I'm trying to work with here at the moment with Needle and Thread.
Yeah, I don't mind it. The improving track conditions probably go back towards a Madalena a wee bit, Pops, though, as well. Another consideration, I'm saying. Yeah. And look, 2,400 metres, it's still unknown for Needle and Thread, isn't it? I mean, her full brother, for instance, never ran out the Derby in Savile Row when he started as the favourite in Ginger Nuts Derby. He was forward in that race and he never saw it out. He was pretty much gone on the point of the bend, Savile Row in the New Zealand Derby. So that's a little mark against her name if you want to play the breeding game like we have there with a Madalena, for instance, going through her family. So there's a number of different ways that you can sort of go through this field and try and skin it. So just trying to, as I said, trying to find that little bit of value as opposed to saying the $1.60 favourite is not over the line. I just want to just find something else. You've got to shop at the right price, Steve, don't you? And Pops is sort of making a case that the $7 is potentially a little bit of value.
It's about price sensitive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Madalena. Personally, I rated her a 55% chance, a 1.8 at 100%. $1.60, I think that's almost her bottom mark, $1.55, $1.60. You could almost play two ways. You could back her outright and maybe look for a bit of a 1x3 play potentially in the race outside her. Needle and Thread, clearly the second favourite there in the marketplace. Cheaper than Divorce. I've been a big fan right back since her maiden win at Rotorua prior to Christmas. I just feel she's been one run behind. Almost a similar profile to Frontman in the Derby. She's just been one run behind. She had a 34-day freshen up between the Salva and the Waikato Guineas. In the Lowland, she drew barrier 1, which we talk about quite a lot in the podcast. It can be a negative barrier 1. It was on that occasion. She got back to about 4 or 5 back on the rail. She hit a brick wall halfway down the straight. She still recorded the fastest last 200 in the Lowland. And a couple of key gear changes. Blinkers go on and Danielle Johnson jumps aboard, the number 1 jockey in the country.
Ding, 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 ding.
So a couple of real positives around Cheaper than Divorce. And I think the key around how this race is going to be run, say it's only run at a moderate tempo, then Craig Grills at the 600-700 metre mark will make a decision and push forward on Needle and Thread and make sure it's truly run, because the one way of beating a Madalena is a true staying test. They won't beat her if it's run at moderate tempo and made the best horse win on the sprint, because the Madalena has that over the rest of the field. So, look, if they're going at a genuine tempo, then Craig might be a little bit more patient around Needle and Thread and not go until the top of the straight. But regardless, that's one horse that's going to generate and make sure that it's run at a true 2-4, which will also help Cheaper than Divorce.
Yeah, okay. There's no doubt she's a class act, Paul, the favourite, but what are your thoughts here in the Oaks, mate?
I really do like Cheaper Than Divorce.
Oh, okay. I'm starting to get excited here. Yep.
Come here, mate. Come here.
As Steve said, Danielle jumps on.
Yep.
Tick.
Tick, definite tick. Yep.
She's out of an Oaks winning mare.
Correct. Boundless.
And I just, maybe a run short. I'm willing, but at the price, I'm willing to take her at around the $10, $11
mark.
A
little bit more. I shouldn't be saying that, but I think you might get 1 or 2 turns outwards on Cheaper Than Divorce, just with a couple of key factors: the money gravitating towards a Madalena and Needle on the Thread on race day, and also we've got to bring this overall percentage down in the book. which possibly will lengthen out all the other horses outside the top 2.
Yeah, okay. Well, what about a couple of the other runners, Steve? Ilafare, she's had a few runs now, isn't it? Backing up from a Derby, the 5.
Yeah, look, she ran 4th and was a top run in the Derby.
True.
Is the boy stronger than the females? Look, questionable. I think Amadalenia heads that on both fronts. But in terms of depth, it's probably fairly similar in terms of the fillies v the boys. So there might be a slight tick, or definitely not a negative, that she did finish 4th in the Derby. But as you mentioned, on the quick backup, drawn barrier 15, she's going to be back in the last third at least. Alafia, $18. I think she's found that mark.
Yeah.
I can't see her shortening too much off it.
No, okay. BP, anything else that you want to mention? I mean, that Lowland form, you've got the likes of Charm Star was good. Lana Court obviously won that race. And obviously we've mentioned Cheaper Than Divorce. And even Can You Handle the Jandal was there as well. Do we need to have a look at any of these Lowland runners?
I think so, because the Lowland is such an important race for the New Zealand Oaks, and there'll be, I think, some horses out of that race that can play a serious part. The winner of the race, I mean, yes, Charm Star was closing, but I still feel as though Lanacord is deserved of some respect in this market. I'm pretty sure if this was trained by a bigger stable, that you'd probably find this horse would be a little bit tighter again, and maybe have a bit more respect in this market. I think she's a horse that is right in this race for running a top 3 or 4 Lanacord. So I do like her chances, and I think Cheaper Than Divorce, who was very neutral in that race and was the eye catcher in behind. Yes, Charm Star was the one that nearly pulled the race off right on the line, but when you're watching that race, you went, well, there's Cheaper Than Divorce. That was a good run, wasn't it, in terms of an Oaks and more distance, and how that horse was working through the line and making those little gear adjustments by putting some shades on. So, yeah, I'm sort of with you guys. I think she's a horse that at the $10, $11, great for the trifecta punter, the first 4 punter that she needs to be in there. And I've got her as my 3rd pick, with Lanacord as my best roughie.
Yeah, okay. Lanacord out there at $23.
Just on the pedigree around Charm Star,
Yeah.
Perencanto, naturally you would say a negative heading into 2,400 metres, but on the dam side, she's out of Anastar. And she won a Fielding Gold
Gary
Cup.
Vile?
Gary
Vile?
Vile has
Yeah,
that
very
family.
good, yeah.
I think it's a full sister to Jackstar, which we know won a couple of cups and
Sure.
was placed in the Auckland Cup over 2 miles a few years back. So definitely on the dam side, there's enough to suggest that it will get the 2-4. The only negative is Perencanto, which we see the majority of his progeny really excel over 16 and below.
Yeah, okay. Charm Star was good, as we mentioned. What are you thinking here, man, barely standing? Are you going Cheaper Than Divorce, are you, each way?
I certainly am.
Yeah.
Look, Marilenia has to be on top. As Steve said, has to be a truly run race for anyone else to have a chance. And even if it's truly run, she still has the club. We saw her in the Vars there. She had no rights to win, and still got there. Just those horses who know where the line is and when to get there. So Marilenia certainly on top, but I really do like the look of Cheaper Than Divorce.
Yeah, okay, each way. Is she not one of those heartbreakers, Steve? Is she that just keeps running on and keeps funneling my cash into a big giant hole? Cheaper Than Divorce, or she's,
I'll tell you at 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, okay, exactly. Yeah, very good.
Oh, look, I think she's going to be a really top 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And I think the stable have been quite clear on that. Whatever she's done as a 3-year-old is a bonus. Just her frame, she's quite a big mare. She's going to really develop as a staying cup horse as a 4-year-old. But there just is a sense of timing around her. I just feel that she's been a run short, as I mentioned, leading into the Oaks in the lead-in races, the Lowland and the Waikato Guineas. But she's just hitting that level pegging stage around a lot of these fillies.
Yeah, okay. Oh, one more, Spine Tingle. What do we do there? She was so good at in the Oaks Prelude. And can we say off track last time, or wet track might have tripped her up?
Just didn't get the run, drew wide, had to cover extra ground, faced the breeze at certain parts of the Sunline Vars. I think back left-handed is a tick around Spine Tingle, and was very good on the eye in the Oaks Prelude at the Naki a few weeks
Bolted
back.
on that day, yeah.
Just the overall figures in the race just didn't stand up that well compared to the other lead-up races. It's a question mark, but she has a few things in her sight in terms of advantage. One of them being left-handed Spine Tingle, and should get an economical run via the Sunline.
Yep, barrier 6 for Spine Tingle, so should get a reasonable run. Okay, Pop, so this is it. Time to, are you going 2 over 1 in this year's Oaks here?
Well, what I'll give you two things here. If you do like the favourite in the Madalena, there's a way of maybe trying to play maybe a first four, for instance, put her on top and play horses like Needle and Thread and Cheaper Than Divorce as your rovers. And over the years, the Oaks has thrown up horses that have paid big prices, and then take sort of field them behind it and rover the 2 and the 11 in behind a Madalena, and maybe hope that you can get it the right way, and a roughie falls into second position, Cheaper Than Divorce runs third, and something like Lanacord runs fourth, and all of a sudden the first four pays 4,500. So try and maybe work your bet type that way if you like a Madalena, instead of trying to play the $1.60. For instance, in terms of selections, I'm going to go with Needle and Thread just. And if the race is run like we've spoken about there with the Sunline Vars, and they really do put the pressure on, and it makes it a true test, well then you might be in for a sight. So happy to take $7. A Madalena, yes, without a doubt, is the horse to beat, and she could nab the horse and just prove that she is the best runner in the race. But I'll take 2 over 1, $5.20 for the fixed exotic Quinella if you want to take 1 and 2 boxed. 11 Cheaper Than Divorce, and the 6 Lanacord is my roughie.
Yeah, okay. He's our best advertisement for these fixed odds exotics, BP, isn't he? Man, barely standing. Very good.
You'd think he's getting a cut.
I thought I was, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, got some bad news.
Checks in the mail.
Got some bad news. You're going with Cheaper Than Divorce each way, Paul, just to wind it up.
Yeah. A Madalena on top, cheaper than Divorce, Needle and Thread, and I do like the look of Spine Tingle back on top of the ground.
Oh, so you did have Spine Tingle in there.
Yeah.
I'm not going mad. Okay, very good. Going to be a great race, whatever happens. And Madalena, she's a superstar in the making, and she could easily come out and donkey lick them at $1.60. Don't worry about that. Bit of the daytime, gentlemen. We better start to think about drawing this all to a close on the league up for another week, but we can't get away without best bets. Paul, we'll start with you. Which way are you going for your best bet? I've heard an inkling. I might know what your best bet is actually.
Heading to Trentham, and I'll try and start the day off with a win. So we're going to race 1 at Trentham. That's the Cambridge Stud Premier, rating 74 benchmark over 1,600 metres. And I'm going with, I think it's number...
It's down on the screen there, mate.
Where it is? Number 8, Packing Joy. I just hate looking at that red colour.
Yeah.
Packing Joy, trained by Stephen Marsh.
Tell us more. Come on.
Yeah. Last time.
Yeah, Danielle Johnson. First time up in New Zealand, won over 1,400 at Pukekohe.
Yep.
And look, it didn't look too bad doing it either. The step up to 1,600 should really suit, and the big wide open straight of Trentham hopefully does the trick as well. Danielle sticks, so that's always a positive for mine.
For sure.
Of course, I believe you have a little finger in the pie.
I said a little bit. I have as much as you, which is naff all. But it'll be interesting. I'll be out there tomorrow to have a look at the horse. And
we'll be cheering.
Hopefully, we'll be cheering. Anyway, for what price, Steve? $10, $12,
at least 30%
40?
chance. Just got to finalise that particular market. But I was very impressed with his debut win. First up in NZ, recorded the fastest 6 and 2 of that meeting, Packing Joy. And I just loved how he had that turn of foot between the 6 and the 4 to put himself in the race. He broke 11 seconds in that split, and it's crucial that you have that ability if you're in a position where you're worse in midfield to put yourself in the race when they only went moderate up front, set up by the Green Gremlins. So he had that ability. I think 1,600 at Trentham, big open space, should be huge.
Don't get me too excited.
What?
Yeah.
Do we get a price boost? Can we get it?
$10, surely.
Surely it's around a 10%.
Race 1, you've got to get there nice and early.
No, I'm not happy with that. No, I'm not overly happy with that. But I would have liked to see it at race 10, to be honest, so I could have wound into it a wee bit. But anyway, it'd be nice to have a winner nonetheless again. Stephen, best bet from you, please, for the weekend?
Yeah, I'll go for the cuddle, Coventina Bay, for what all I spoke about and what BP and Paul next to me mentioned around her chances and the sectionals she's produced, not just last start, but right throughout this preparation, Coventina Bay. Yeah. So race 5, I think, with weights and measures really does suit. Set weights and penalties, Coventina Bay, who's at a $2 price.
Okay, you're in the red.
I know.
What's happened there?
Oh, ugly.
You were one of our strong performers.
We've got some green coming up.
We've got some massive green. Let's get to Pops' bet of the weekend. BP, what do you got for us?
Let's hope we can stick with the green machine, and I'll go with Belt Road, who actually wears a little bit of green in the colours as well, for Ken Harrison. Look, this horse was beaten by a very good horse last time to the races by the name of Force of Will, who is on a plane to Australia, and she'll have a bit more to add possibly to that resume also with how she performed at about 85% and closed off quite nicely at around that $3 mark last week, Force of Will. Belt Road is a runner that was very impressive here, I thought, behind Fugazi over 1,400 metres in a similar race when rattling home. So back to a maiden as that once again. Hazel chauffeur aboard, so 2 kilos will be coming off, getting down to 57 kilos. I do like his prospects here. Coming back from the 16 to the 1,400 metres, Belt Road, I'll make that my best bet of the week.
BP,
So
plus
identifying these maiden
72.
as at races, isn't he? He's seeing there's potential there on these horses that have had winning form up against maideners.
Yeah, he's found that little thread as well with Force of Will following that through. That's why he's plus 72, boys.
Plus
Take notes.
72%
Take notes.
return
Well
on
done with
investment.
Force of Will last week. BP, does Waisaki win the St Ledger before we go? $2.30.
You'd think so. Far out looks very well placed, doesn't it? Look, the highest rated horse by a country mile in that race. Beavertown Boy, I think is the biggest danger to Wasaki in that race.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Australia's heating up too, Pops, but no Kiwis in the Rosehill Guineas. When's the last time that happened, boys?
Good
Get
question.
your flippers on if it might be slipper day, but it'll be flipper day for everybody there
The golden
because
flipper.
Very good,
yeah.
Pop.
I suppose the intriguing clash there on the weekend will be the Ranvit with Very Elegant, of course, taking on Adib, who won the race last year. Both proven wet trackers. It's only a 5-horse field, but Very Elegant, of course, will be third up this preparation. Starts as the second favourite at 210 versus the favourite at 190, so that's going to be a good clash on the wet track. And then, of course, next week we'll start seeing some more Kiwis in action as we start getting closer towards the championships and, of course, Derby Day, which will be on the 3rd of April.
Yeah. No.
So when's the
what's
Tancred?
it?
Is that next Saturday or the following Saturday? Is Melody
I
Bell
think it's next week, yeah. I think.
next Saturday?
Yeah.
Up against Colette.
So the Derby's the 3rd of April, so is that always the
Yeah.
week before the Derby or...?
Possibly. It
2
used to
weeks
be known
before.
as the
Yeah.
BMW, didn't it?
Ah, right.
So that's raced at Rosehill and the Derby's raced at run at Randwick. So yeah, you're right.
Well, we're going to be heating up next week. We haven't got a lot of Kiwis to follow this week, have we? But next week we'll be tucking in. Good.
Big time.
Yeah. Anything else to add, boys, before we wind this up?
Tauranga next Saturday.
Tauranga,
Japan
yep.
Trophy. Good
Yep.
field.
Yep. But tomorrow will be fantastic. Paul, Ellerslie, Trentham, I should say.
Yeah.
You heading out?
I will be, yeah. And then we'll head to Ellerslie after that in a few weeks' time.
Oh, is that the plan? Is it? What? Marshy doesn't tell me anything. Right. Thanks for your input, lads, as always. You'll be looking forward to. Thanks, Stephen, for all your insights, as always. Thanks, Pops. We got Sweens on track tomorrow at Trentham, I hope. Well, I would suspect.
Yep, that's the one. Yep. I'll be in the studio looking after things with the Tauranga meeting. So, of course, as you said, the following week it'll be Japan Trophy, New Zealand Japan Trophy Classic, whatever it is called these days out of Tauranga the following week. But yeah, good card of program out of Tauranga on Saturday and Te Araha on Sunday. Look out for a horse by the name of Fast Willie, who was very good when winning a maiden of a 1,550 metre, steps up to a 65-mile race on Sunday, does Fast Willie.
Okay. Is that where the Hermitage colours, is that right?
Yes, yeah. Very nice star.
Green and red.
Horse.
Yeah, okay. Fast Willie, mark it down. Thanks, BP. Thank you, gentlemen, once again. You'll be on the Punters Lounge, Steve, I presume, tomorrow, giving out all the info for our viewers. And thank you for joining us. Once again, we'll see you in 7 days' time on The Leg Up.